Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, and I am your favorite host of What's Happening Dracut, John Zimini. I welcome you here tonight, and we're broadcasting live from our overly ostentatious studios here on Mill Street in Dracut, Massachusetts. We have a lively show for you. We have a lot of things to talk about. We have town meeting. We have the Board of Selectmen meeting last night that they never fail to give us materials.
Content.
They never fail to give us materials. But anyways, we wanted to welcome you all here tonight. My co-host for this evening, Gordy Scott, is in the house. Hi, Gordy.
Hey, how is everybody?
Everybody's fine.
We've been off for a few weeks, John.
Well, you know, people have got me like in a pine box getting ready to be shipped out to the
the big rumor is you're leaving town.
to the what do you call it, the burning oven. They're going to put me in the oven.
Oh, the crematorium.
The crematorium, right?
Yep.
The rumor is I'm moving out of town. We're going to address that later on, folks. We'll have some fun with that.
I can't wait.
We'll have some fun with that. But yeah,
Australia's a long way away,
we
John.
figured the Board of Selectmen is on summer schedule, so we might as well be on summer schedule.
Right, that's right.
So we won't have a show every week or every other week. We'll have it when we
I'm
feel
a little
like.
depressed, though.
You are what?
The Celtics.
Oh, God. Don't even go there.
God.
Yeah,
So-
let's go there. That's
Don't even go there because
No.
we are not happy with what's going
No.
on with the Celtics. But
There's a game 6. It's not
I'll bet
over
they
yet.
win tomorrow.
Yeah, I
they have
Because,
to win tomorrow.
because the Celtics and the NBA need a game 7.
Right,
They
that's
only
right.
get $2 billion a game.
Right. That's
The
not.
revenue for that, the economic revenue for that is incredible from what I heard on some of the sports shows. But folks, we still have our Cub reporter who's now a Dracut High alumni. Whoa, who's going to UMass. No, he's going to Middlesex.
And followed by UMass Lowell, absolutely.
that's right.
You may be DATV's favorite host, but I'm your favorite Cub reporter, the only Cub reporter, nevertheless the best Cub reporter. I'm here, like I said in the little live thing we do, I am edumacated from Dracut High now. I have my diploma to prove it, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
And you're almost going to be 18.
Absolutely. June 21st, I expect some packages in the mail.
so you
Hopefully none with some white powder, but you know.
Your packages in the mail? What do you mean?
Gifts, absolutely.
Gifts?
I hope I don't get any envelopes with white powder, but
Oh, yeah.
you never know.
You might. What is that? What is that poison that they
The
sent
anthrax?
You? Anthrax. That's what you're gonna get. Be
You
careful.
never. Well, John, not only is my birthday coming up, but isn't yours coming up pretty soon too?
Oh, yes.
John, because I know you're
Yes.
69, right? How
My
is being
favorite year. This has been my favorite year. 69, and of course I'm going to be 70 next month.
Absolutely,
Do
you're
I
getting
look
up there.
70 to you?
No.
I'm
No,
ready
maybe
to-
80, but not 70.
Oh, I feel 80. There's days I feel 80. But we also have with us tonight an unbelievable talent, folks. An unbelievable talent. You got to watch this person. She's our special guest today. Watch her in Dracut Politics. This girl's going to take off. Oh, maybe I shouldn't use the word girl. This young lady is going to take off in Dracut Politics. And we have in the house Dr. Rebecca Duda.
Thank you, John.
How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh.
I appreciate it.
We're happy to have you. And they didn't put you on screen yet.
Oh, okay.
There you are. There you are.
Equal
Look at that
screen time
camera
for
right
everybody.
There you go. All right, we're going to have some. Rebecca's here to talk about town meeting and what the school budget looks like, and we're going to have some lively discussion. But if you're watching us on Facebook, you can also catch us on live on DATV live streaming. And you can catch us by watching Channel 8 if you have Comcast and you live in Dracut. You can also catch us on YouTube. Gordy, right? Are we still on YouTube?
We are still on YouTube.
We
Yep.
got to get more involved with, I do have an Instagram account for What's Happening Dracut. We got to get more involved with that and see how we can live broadcast from there.
But yeah, we have What's Happening Dracut. Just search for that. You'll find all of our episodes, our previous episodes up there. And
There you go. And if you'd like to get involved in the discussion, you can call us or reach us at 978-957-4243, and we'll get you on the air live. Now, there are some people we will not put on because we don't know what to expect out of them, so
Right.
we're not going to put them on because they may drop F-bombs or call people names or whatever, and we don't want it to happen.
And you know what, John? It's just like commenting on our articles.
Right.
We let anybody comment, but the minute you break civil discourse and you become disrespectful, you're gone. And you know why? Our ballpark, our rules.
When you're not peaceful.
Absolutely.
If you're not peaceful protest. But you can also email us at what's happening Dracut. And believe me, we get a few emails during the week and during the weeks before the show. But today is a day when I get a lot of calls on Wednesday. I get a lot of texts and calls, and people want me to talk about different issues and bring up on the show. So we have a couple that we're going to bring up later on tonight. But join us in the conversation, and certainly watch us live and live streaming on our Facebook page. By the way, if you get a chance, please like us on Facebook and also follow us. Our follows right now are approaching 2,400.
Wow.
We're going to be over
nice.
2,400
That's impressive.
very
Not too
soon.
shabby.
So we're doing pretty good on that page, and we really haven't worked that much at it, unlike other programs at DATV who have that automatic click to make sure they get a lot of views.
Yep.
We don't do that. We're not phonies like those shows. What you see is what you get. Hey, I want to put a shout out to the Moose Morosky family. They're going through a little bit of issues right now. Moose is doing fine, but there's some medical issues going on there, and we'd like to tell him and let him and Carol know that you're in our prayers, and we hope that everything is going well. I have not spoken to Moose in probably about a week or so, and I'm hoping that he's doing better soon, real soon. So before we get started, we have our resident weatherman, Sean Kelly, just waiting to give you the 8-day forecast. And I hear it's a pretty good one. I'm just hoping, Sean, that next week is a good one for me, because I'll be on vacation and I want to get some sun. So,
Let's see what he
Sean,
says.
take it away.
Hey, John, thanks for having me on tonight. It was a nice day out there today as we had high temps near 80 degrees. And here's the forecast for tonight. Temps are going to drop into the upper 50s tonight, near 60 degrees as we head into the overnight hours with partly cloudy conditions. But I think most of the evening should be pretty much clear, but we'll have a few clouds move in later on this evening. Winds are going to be coming out of the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, so nothing concerning at all. And then as we head into tomorrow, high temps in the 80s, 81 degrees for a high temp for Thursday, not bad, with mostly sunny conditions. Winds again coming out of the south at 10 to 15 miles an hour, so a little bit on the gustier side, but again, nothing concerning at all. And then as we head into Thursday night, there is a chance for a few thunderstorms later on. I think probably anytime after 8 or 9 o'clock, there is a chance for a few pop-up thunderstorms to move in. So we'll be watching that, of course, as we head into Thursday night. But here's a look at your exclusive 8-day forecast. So again, transfer those thunderstorms as we head into the later part on Thursday. Then we have another round of thunderstorms potentially on Friday afternoon later on. I didn't add that in yet, but there is a chance as we have a strong cold front moving in. And then I think there's going to be another chance for a few pop-up thunderstorms as we head into the second part of Saturday, as we have high temps in the 70s. And then as we head to next week, temps are going to moderate into the upper 70s as we head into the middle of next week. And that is the forecast for now, everyone. Back to you guys in the studio.
We could talk the whole show about that.
Hey, we're back. How
Well,
about that?
you got your wish.
It's just adjusting. What I got my wish for
Yeah,
some
the
decent
nice
weather
weather,
next
yeah.
week.
Yep.
Yeah, good. You know, we're gonna have a little bit of a vacation. We're going away with the kids, and my sister-in-law will be watching my house because we don't trust anybody. So
Well, who's watching the hot tub?
the hot tub will be watching. She'll be using that. Trust me, she loves it when she comes up. So thank you, Sean, for giving us that excellent weather forecast for the coming week, and we are really looking forward to that. Sean is one of the finest weather persons in the Boston area. He works for Channel 7, and he's continuing to climb up that corporate ladder over there at Channel 7 News. We wish him well. He also runs Mill City Weather, so make sure you go on to his Facebook page and like his page. And we'd like to give him a little boost because, you know, he comes here and does our weather for
Right.
us, you know? So, without any further ado, I want to talk a little bit about some upcoming events. So we have the outdoor movies at Veterans Park coming up on.
Yes,
You
the
know when that is?
21st.
That's on
You know how I know it's the 21st?
What's the 21st?
My birthday.
Outdoor movies?
Yeah, the movie.
I have the
Oh, wait.
17th.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of?
What?
The police safety.
That's right.
Is on my birthday.
That's
the
right. The
21st.
21st is the police safety night, which is one of those feel-good things that most police departments are doing now. It's not associated with National Night Out, right? Gordy, you know what that is all about, the National Night
don't.
Out? Do you know what National Night
do
Out is?
not.
Do you know what National Night Out
No,
is?
I'm
Police National Night Out is a national thing that police departments do across the country, where they invite people to go out and celebrate the outdoors in a local park or playground or what have you, and they do some fun games and things. But Chief Bartlett and his crew down at our Dracut Police Department is doing a police safety night where the kids and folks can go down and sit in a police car, police cruiser, touch the car, go around, talk to the police officers.
Turn the lights on.
Turn the lights on and a siren, and they're gonna have food and ice cream and all kinds of good stuff for the kids, and that's a good thing. But more importantly,
Yes.
about the Friday night at the movies at Veterans Park is starting this Friday. Now I think they only have 2 posted. I think they're only going to
yeah.
do it twice. Once in July, in
You know what the
June,
movies are gonna
and then
be, John?
another one in
I know the
August.
one coming up is Part
Sing.
2.
Sing 2. What is that about?
It's an animated picture.
Animated
It's about a
animal.
bunch of animals who participate in almost like The
Musical,
Voice.
in a musical.
Yeah.
Is it live animals or cartoon?
No,
Part
cartoon.
two.
No, it's
Cartoon.
animated. Yeah.
Is it kind of like the what are those new things out that are out?
Oh, like
the Disney.
like the Pixar type
Yeah,
things.
like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But anyways, it's free,
Might be
and it's at
Yeah.
Veterans Park, and it starts at dusk. So it's a great thing, and you should go down there and take advantage of that. We also have an event coming up very soon. We have 3 police recruits in the school right now, in the academy, and they're graduating on Friday, June 24th at the Essex Community College. I think it's Building D, and that's at 10 a.m. on the 24th. And then the swearing-in ceremonies will be at Harmony Hall on Monday, June 27th, where folks can go down there and greet the new police officers.
So they're both
and,
public events?
They're both public events, right. So that gives us, if you have anything you want us to announce on here, certainly let us know. We'll put it on our Facebook page, and we'll also take the time to announce it here on our show. But as we move into the first segment of our show, we wanted to introduce you to a rising star in political politics in Dracut, a former Dracut school teacher, and who now sits on the Dracut School Committee.
Who could it be?
And she topped the ticket in the last election. Why don't you introduce the doctor?
Absolutely. It's the one, the
Please.
only, Dr. Rebecca A. Duda.
Well, thank you guys, but really you went a little overboard. I want a seat on the school committee, John. I
Are we
mean, come on.
embarrassing
You blew it out of the
No,
water.
I didn't blow it out of the water.
You
No.
absolutely did.
Well, thanks for the kind words, but
No,
it
it's
was
good.
a fun experience to run and all that. But
It's good, and I knew you were going to do well, because, quite simply, you can't be a teacher in a school system and then not do well, especially when you're fresh on the minds of the students that are now 18 or older and now off to college and come back. You're bound to get some good.
right.
Support
Well, yeah,
them.
I taught here for 12 years before I went over to Lowell. I've been in Lowell now 5 years.
Right.
And I'm active in the Historical Society, writing lots of, articles for the Sun. So, I've been active. So,
Yep, you have,
know.
and you have a big fan in Bob Hoey.
Oh, I
Former school
know.
committeeman.
Bob Hoey, yes.
Bob Hoey from Lowell. He thinks that you're the best thing that has ever come out of Dracut. And I keep telling him that's just not true, because what about me? A little self,
No,
geez.
Mr. Hoey was always very supportive of me.
He is.
Yeah.
He certainly
yeah.
is. And he
And the
always
work we
mentions you.
do.
And by the way, he was watching tonight, so
Well, hi, Mr. Hoey.
make sure you say hi to
That's
Mr.
right.
Hoey.
Hi, Mr.
Hey, I
Hoey.
gotta
Send him
get you-
autographs.
I got to get you to come on City Life
Oh, yeah.
with us.
I'd like to do that. I went on that once a couple years ago, but with a few other people from the school department to
Right.
talk about just registration or something.
Right.
But yeah,
We'll get you on in a future show. And John McDonough's watching us right now.
Okay.
And he is he's celebrating his yesterday was his, I think, 47th wedding anniversary.
oh,
His
congratulations.
wife took him to Encore. Now,
Oh.
his wife took him to Encore, but she plays the slots and he doesn't. So he just goes around and people watches, right?
Yes.
But he loves the hotel rooms. And
I
all
haven't
that
been to
stuff.
Encore yet.
Oh, you got to go there.
No, I haven't
It's
been.
fun.
Yeah.
Just don't bring a lot of money because you lose.
The house always wins.
Huh?
The house always
The
wins.
house always wins, no matter how.
Yeah, but it seems in
no matter how you
Dracut, Duda
slice it.
always wins. So
No.
I'd like
So,
to.
we have introduced our guests for tonight, and we're going to get into some of the town meeting review, but I wanted to first welcome you to the Board of Directors down here at DATV, and I wanted to give you a chance to just, tell people how that came about that you became the new appointee to
Oh,
the Board
sure.
of Directors. If you want.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, the school committee is allowed to appoint a representative to the board of directors for Dracut Access TV. And it actually just occurred to me one night. I said, we don't have our own current board member representing Dracut Access TV. I know in years past, Dr. McNamara had done it for years, and he had been an active member of Dracut TV. And I've been an active member of Dracut TV. I have my own show, a little history program that I do.
Give it a plug. What is it?
Discovering Dracut.
Discovering Dracut.
Yeah,
Good show.
this month I interviewed Pam Fitzgerald from the Dracut Garden Club.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
It was a good episode.
thank you. So it just occurred to me. I said, I'd like to put my name out there to my, to the rest of the board and say, if no one else, we had Russ Taylor was appointed last year, and he had been doing a fine job, but I think it just makes more sense to have a member of the school committee serve and represent, for Dracut Access TV on their board of directors. So I put it out at a board meeting, and my colleagues agreed.
That's good.
And you can bring viewpoints from the school if the school would like more
Exactly.
video coverage of events.
Right,
I'm sure
and
you can bring that.
educational programming.
Right.
And things like that.
Right.
I think it just made good sense. So I'm
But
excited to serve.
But as it was pointed out by members of your board the night you got appointed, that you're not the representative
Right.
of the schools, because that puts a whole different spin on it.
Correct.
And a lot of liability stuff
Yep.
that the town, and I'm sure the schools don't want. But the board has the right to appoint somebody
Correct.
to our board just for the purpose of having an involvement. That's
Yes.
it. I was the first Board of Selectmen appointee when we first switched over to a nonprofit. Because I was actually on the Cable Access Committee, and I was also on the school committee, on the Board of Selectmen, and the board, and I felt that, I would best represent them at that point. And shortly after that, at that point, they had 2 representatives. The selectmen had 2 representatives, and then we changed the bylaws down to 1, and so I ran for the seat, and then the board got an appointment. So, and that's the way it is right now. So there's 7 members of the board, and 2 are, 1 for the school committee, 1 for the Board of Selectmen, and 1 for the manager, and then the rest are elected. So I'm currently an elected member of that board, and will be up for re-election in October.
Yeah.
So
Well, Dracut TV is a great facility.
it really
It's
is.
a great resource for the town, and I'd like to see us expand educational programming, maybe more, things that we tape, and just get the schools out there more. It's just, it's really a wonderful facility. I would encourage anyone in town to come down and start their own little program in podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
Richard, you have a podcast.
Oh yeah, I know all about that.
Yeah.
VOTR Playhouse. We have a great time. You've done a few of those with us.
Yes, I have.
It's been a good time.
It's been fun. So
And I wanted to actually ask you, if you don't mind, a question about your expectations.
one question per day.
One question. Yeah, here's my receipt. But your expectations going into that meeting when you were voted as representative, did you have any idea how it would turn out? Did you expect to get a present vote that Mr. Wilkie cast? Did you expect to get
No.
unanimous vote, or what did you think going into it?
I didn't really know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it with my colleagues.
Yeah.
I asked to put it on the agenda, and we put it on the floor for discussion. So,
Good.
Well, I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
yeah, well, thank you.
That's good. So welcome aboard. So let's get into the review of the Dracut town meeting. Now, you went to the town meeting, correct?
Yes.
And
Yep.
so did Richard.
Yes.
So what happened at town meeting, Richard? Tell us some of the backstory here.
Well, not much happened at town meeting. It's what happened before town meeting.
Right.
So I actually was at home in my pajamas watching Groucho Marx on television, as one does. And I got a call from Rebecca here saying that they didn't have quorum. I think they were 51 short to start with.
Something like that. It was a
Yeah.
pretty significant number, yeah.
And so I made a few phone calls. I called you. You had an interesting viewpoint on that, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Right.
I ended up going down with Key Vadez, my co-star on my radio program.
Right.
And we went down there.
But
And we
neither
actually-
of you are Dracut resident voters.
No, but
Neither of you
we
are
still
voters.
felt that it was important to be there
Okay,
to
so you
support
went
our
in as
town.
guests.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And I was honestly, I didn't think we would get quorum, but I was surprised at how quickly we got it.
Yeah, well,
I
we
mean,
were
we
all
got
on we were all on our phones calling our friends. I got my other friend Marie to come.
Yes.
You know.
So
and,
yeah,
and
you
she
know,
was
Gordy, did you
she
go?
was a voter, so
know,
she
Gordy
counted.
didn't even go.
you didn't really.
Nope.
You know, so again, I'm surprised we get quorum. I think every year it's getting harder and harder to get quorum. So I.
Before we go any further,
Yeah.
you have that queued up, that little piece that I wanted you to play.
Yes.
Can you hook up Gordy with his computer and let's. This was what was said last night by the infamous Joe DeRocco.
Okay, questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I have a couple of things. First, Dan, I want to praise you for town meeting. I thought it went very well.
Oh, thank you.
I think it shows that, I think the voters in Dracut have a lot of trust in you and your administration. I never saw budgets go so quickly for the amount of money that was,
I know, it's crazy, actually.
yeah, there was
It
no
is,
questions
it-
asked,
yeah.
when it was, wow.
Yeah, thank you.
It's got to be the people that are just happy with what's happening. That's all I can say. The other thing, the sidewalk up here. out here.
Yes.
When it was put in incorrectly.
So, yeah,
It's put in
so
the
bring it
whole
back to us. So, the reason I played that is, I wanted you to play that because here's Joe, in typical fashion, spinning what happened at town meeting, saying that Ann did a great job. Now, no doubt that Ann did a good job of the presentation at the town meeting. But the bottom line is that Ann has a captive audience there. And the captive audience receives a check every week or every 2 weeks from the town of Dracut. So the fact that they didn't get 250 people to come down, I'm going to say that 190 of those people were probably connected to town, someone in town, or had some kind of special interest in town. And the reason I keep reiterating this is because I want to keep the memory of Mr. Daigle alive. Because Mr. Daigle used to say, every one of them are connected. Every one of them have a special interest.
Roger.
Town meeting is so antiquated that it shouldn't even be. One of these days I'm going to pull out a tape where he would say that. And he would very eloquently say why. Because they all have an interest in getting the budget passed. It's a $91 million budget between the schools and the municipal side, and $91 million flew by without a question, from what I heard. Am I right?
That is
Pretty much,
correct.
yeah. I mean, recalling it, I don't think there was any discussion or debate really
No.
whatsoever
I don't think there was any.
on anything. I don't think.
No, nothing.
How long was the entire meeting?
It took us longer to get quorum, actually, than it did to vote.
It did.
I heard it was 28 minutes, and you're
Yeah.
right, 28 minutes, and that they were trying to get a quorum for probably a half an hour.
Yeah, it was. We started
Because they
at
were-
close to like 7:30.
Now, I would venture to bet, Gordy, that if one of us were there and we called for a quorum halfway through, that I'll bet at least a third of those people scooted out the door once their
Came
piece.
in, checked in, and
That's it. That's all it is. They come in, they check in, and they scoot out the door. Folks, it's a $91 million corporation that should not be decided by the people who work for the town.
But again, John, as you know, we've gone to a lot of town meetings, and if there's no issues on the
Exactly.
warrant, then no one shows up.
Exactly.
If you remember the fire department,
Right.
when they were, and the police, when they wanted to make them private
Right.
versus, everyone showed up and they questioned everything on the budget, made it difficult.
But again, those were the families of the firefighters
Right.
interested. But if you put on there a Prop 2.5 override,
Right. Then people show
then
up.
you're going to get 400, 500, 600 people there.
Yep.
But we're a town of over 30,000, Rebecca, right?
Yeah,
Over
it's a-
30,000, and we have over 21,000 voters, am I right? Gordy, you have that figure.
23,000.
23,000. And,
It's a big community to still be having town meeting, by the way.
right, so why can't we get people to go to town meeting? Because They're not interested.
Well, they don't vote either. There's apathy amongst,
There is.
voters just in general. I mean, you
It's
can't even get them out to
sad.
vote.
It's sad, and that's
It is sad.
And it's not unique to Dracut.
No.
It's across the whole country. And if people don't wake up soon, the elites in Washington are going to be having you and me, not literally, but you and I, all licking their feet. It's coming because they want us to be suppressed and them to be raised up.
Well, even my friend who did come down, because I said we need voters for quorum. Now she's a voter, and she didn't realize the amount what she was actually voting on. I was explaining it to her. She was getting a civics lesson,
Okay.
and she goes, "Well, what if I vote no?" She would have been like the lone vote on some of these votes, right? Because you were there.
Yeah.
It was unanimous,
Exactly.
But I said, "You won't have like your trash collected next week." She goes, "Are you serious?"
Right.
Yeah, I go, yeah, you're voting on the whole budget for the town.
Right.
She's like, oh, wow. She had no idea.
Well-
I did try to get her up there to amend one warrant where it was the stipend for the school committee. I said, you're able to go up right now and ask for an amendment and increase that to 10,000. She's like, what? I'm like, no, I'm just
There's a typical politician looking to get paid
Line
more
her
money.
pockets.
Line her pockets.
What blew
yeah.
me away the most was Article 20, the safety and traffic circulation improvements at the
Right,
Inglesby.
that's a big one.
I expected some fiery debates on that. They're going to rip up the entire front of the Inglesby, which I agree with, by the way. Moving the recess area, the
Yeah.
part to the back, which is a smart idea, like I
What
said.
are they going to do?
So the front of the Anglesby
that little
elementary
circle
school,
is?
yes,
Yeah.
they're ripping that up
And
and
doing
changing the design in the front to alleviate some of the traffic with parent drop-off and pickup.
Yeah.
And the park in the front for the children to play, they're moving it to the back of the school.
They're essentially reversing where the parking lot is now for the Anglesby with where the playground is. So
Oh,
the
okay.
playground's going to the back of the building. The parking lot will come in
okay, now
the
I see.
beginning, and they'll widen it and change it so the parents can drive
How are
up.
they going to change the flow on Lakeview Ave? Are they widening Lakeview Ave at all?
No,
I
not like
don't think they're doing anything to Lakeview Ave. It's just the entrance in the school.
Doesn't make any sense. It's
I
not
at
gonna-
least expected some debate on that, but nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
I know Sarah Pauling was a little upset that it flew through without anything, and I guess I have to get connected with Sarah to find out what she was upset about. That because I saw something posted on that it didn't, it's not going to really do anything to stop the traffic out on Lakeview Ave, and I guess
No.
that's a sentiment that a lot of people are thinking of.
Yeah,
What
it's-
did that cost, by the way? What was the
I believe it
figure?
was about 1.2 million.
$1.2 million?
Yeah.
And didn't they have to come up with another $400,000?
Yeah,
They
it
were
was,
short?
Yeah.
because of inflation and everything. The
Yeah.
cost of everything has gone up, so, from the original appropriation. Yeah, what they're gonna have, John, is the parents, well, this is kind of a new phenomenon too. The parents for Anglesby, I guess it's maybe because it's COVID and
COVID, yeah.
more parents are driving, right? They line up on Lakeview, because when I taught, that didn't happen. I taught at the middle school, but we didn't have this issue with this lining up on Lakeview. But apparently, the way they're gonna reconfigure that traffic circle, they can line up more inside the complex with the new parking area or something.
Right.
So you won't be lining up on the street, so.
So Gordy, it's a $91 million budget, but there
Mm-hmm.
was also something on there for fire department. Wasn't there a couple of apparatuses?
I believe they were adding a ladder truck or
Okay.
repairing a ladder truck. I think it was adding a new truck altogether,
Right.
a ladder truck.
And how much was that? It must be in the warrant.
Yeah, give me a sec to dig
And
through it.
I understand that it's going to take over 600 days to get that ladder truck delivered.
Wow.
That's how far out. So that's over 2 years.
Must
Or
be
almost
coming
2
from
years.
China.
China!
Why?
Right
Hey,
here.
Bob Hoey says,
1.6.
Bob Hoey says hello to you on our Facebook page. He
hi.
says, thanks for everything you do for Lowell and our sister city, Dracut.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hoey.
Yep. Dracut, what's happening? Dracut is on the move. Nice job, fellas. Thanks, Bob. We got to get you on this show. We like to have people like Bob on the show. But anyways, because he's got relatives in Dracut, So that's good.
So
So
ladder truck comes out to 1.64.
1.64
Million.
million. And where were they taking the money for that? Were they getting that out of
Stabilization fund?
stabilization? Or was that a new purchase with COVID money?
No, I don't think it was COVID money.
It wasn't?
No.
Okay. Because
it-
they got
was
a
it-
lot of money to get rid of over the next
But
couple of
I'm doing it from memory, I don't know.
years. So how big was the budget for schools? What was the
Let's
budget for
find out.
schools? You must know that figure.
It's usually
Rebecca.
50%. but-
Yeah, it's like 50%. I want to say it was 39 million.
39?
Yeah.
Come on.
See how
Come on,
close I am.
Richard.
Come
Give
on,
me a-
Richard.
You got to be on the ball here. You should have been ready.
Listen,
for
you.
this.
Oh, see what I put up with? No,
You got to be on the ball. Got to be on the ball. So yeah, the school budget has got a lot of extra money.
School department, 36.2.
36.2. And how much COVID money do they have? They have about 6 million or something?
Something like, it's close to
Over
that,
the
John.
next 3 years.
Oh, yes, you don't have to spend it in 1 year. It's over, depending upon when the grant was distributed out to you,
Right.
then you have a few years to spend it out. Yeah.
What's the major issue that's going to be facing the schools in the next year or so?
Well, it's going to be the Campbell building project, for sure.
Campbell
You know,
and,
that's the biggest project on the horizon, because we got accepted by the MSBA for the new Campbell School.
Right.
So-
So the Greenmont and Campbell, do they have any idea where they're going to site that?
No, not yet. We just got picked up, so we're still just starting all of that. And it's not even written in stone that they're going to combine the Greenmont and the Campbell, but, you know, the project's been picked up, so.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. So I understand that there were like 27 positions that have been added to the budget.
Yep.
And you got something like a 5 or 7% increase in your budget?
Right, through the Student Opportunity Act, because
Okay.
the state changed the funding formula for schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we did better with that funding, huh?
Yes, we did. Yeah, everyone did. Yeah,
That's
all,
good.
all the cities and towns
What-
got an increase.
Where is that all that money coming from the state? Is it part of the lottery system?
Yeah,
or-
well, the building projects usually come from most that come from the lottery system.
Yeah.
But I mean, the state is sitting on a surplus, even in their own treasury. I mean,
Yeah.
revenues are up for the state, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the lottery did go up, I believe it was just under $1 billion, and now last year was 1.1 billion. So
So when people were home with COVID, they were running out to the local
100
store
million.
buying those.
$102 million it
did
went
they?
up.
Here's a question. I don't know. There was talk that the state was going to pass gambling, you know, online gambling.
Yep,
you know?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that too.
I don't know, but if that
I think
went
that
through.
whole package is coming up soon,
Is
the
it?
online gambling.
Yeah, because they have it in New Hampshire
Yeah.
and Rhode Island.
And yeah, we have a casino, but they can't online gamble. But they also are doing a sports book for.
Yeah, the sports
That's
book.
coming because they're closed. Suffolk Downs is just about dead.
Yep.
You know, Suffolk Downs is one.
Well,
of
That'll be a big income
It'll be
revenue
huge.
generating.
Yeah.
Well, you have to remember too, New Hampshire's a free state. We live in a democratic state. We have a comment here on the school budget from Heidi Kimbarowitz, and I think she makes a very good point. She says, quote, all the money coming in for the schools won't matter if you don't have better administration running them, end quote.
Right. Heidi, we're going to have you come back on the show and talk about that. You know, a little bit of pushback from a parent who has experience.
No,
We'd like to have her on.
Yeah, I know Heidi very well. Good family.
She's a very good,
Yep.
very good family.
Good
We'd
people.
love to have you back. So
Yeah.
Heidi, reach out and tell me when you're available so we can get you on the show. So pretty much uneventful, 28 minutes, no debate. But I think that if one of us were there, we would have tried to question the quorum because you got to keep people honest, right?
Right. Well, what really turns me off to the town meeting now is because, as you know, we've been at the town meeting, and when they ask for a voice vote, it's very loud for the yays or the nays, which way, but then they ask for a standing vote.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the town manager can now see all the town employees if they're standing or they're sitting, and if they're going against the town-issued warrant and you're voting against it, it doesn't look too
That's
good.
what's wrong with town,
Yep.
with town meeting government.
In my personal opinion, anything that has to come, if it's a close voice vote, it should all be ballot.
Isn't that what Vladimir Putin did recently? He put 85,000 people in a stadium to
Yeah.
pat himself on the back, but they
Right.
were all employed by the state of Russia. You know, you come or you go to the gulag, right? You come to this, so go to the gulag. So, folks, we got a video that I'm going to have Richard introduce now, and then when we come back, we're going to
God.
talk about the Board of Selectmen meeting last night.
Which one are we introducing
We're going to
now?
introduce the D-Day.
Absolutely. So, as you know, folks, June 6th was the 78th anniversary of the Allied invasion of the beaches of Normandy during World War II, June 6th, 1944. And I put together a little memorial video using the original NBC radio broadcasts from the day of the invasion, paired with some cinematic movie clips from Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers, and some original footage too. It's a pretty good video. I worked pretty hard on it. I'm very proud of it. So let's check
Let's
it out.
go.
This is Robert St. John in the NBC newsroom in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, we may be approaching a fateful hour. All night long, bulletins have been pouring in from Berlin claiming that D-Day is here, claiming that the invasion of Western Europe has begun. Let me read you several of the latest bulletins. One says that a report, unconfirmed by Allied sources, of course, says that heavy fighting is taking place between the Germans and invasion forces on the Normandy Peninsula, about 31 miles southwest of Le Havre. Another bulletin, also from Berlin radio and unconfirmed, says the British-American landing operations against the western coast of Europe from the sea and from the air are stretching over the entire area between Cherbourg and Le Havre, a distance of about 60 miles. I repeat, there is no confirmation. And here's another bulletin just in. DATV, the German agency, says, this is unconfirmed, that the most important aerodromes in the area of the Normandy Peninsula of France have been wiped out. Now, I presume that means wiped out by the Allies. As you may have heard on earlier broadcasts, all three German news agencies have begun broadcasting these stories that the invasion is here. But there is no Allied confirmation as yet. The first report came out shortly after midnight, and since then we've been flooded with reports from Berlin. Paris radio, strangely enough, has not confirmed any of these reports. And now we have just been informed that we can expect in a very few seconds, a very important broadcast from the British capital. And so now we take you to London.
Under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces, supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
Dude, let him burn!
The first news flashes do not say, but a large proportion of this assault is believed to be in the hands of American men. This is the European front, once again being established in fire and blood, not only by the Americans and British, but by many allies in the fight against Axis aggression.
Very moving, Richard.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
Well, being as involved with the veterans community as I am, I had to do something.
We need to congratulate you too, right?
For what?
For being elected the vice commander?
Yeah, vice
of the
commander
Sons?
of the Sons of the American Legion. Yep, post
And that's the
315.
Dracut post?
Yes, that is.
Yeah, I was a member there. Maybe I'll re-up that membership.
You should. It's a
know.
great little organization, and
Who runs that organization for the Legion?
it's it's a little committee of us that we all gather about
Right.
once a month. It's a great little organization we have. We support the American Legion and all the fundraising events they have, and we basically serve as crutches, to help our veterans in any way we can. And it is by far the most proudest board that I serve on.
Right.
Really, it's the one I boast about the most, and I completely love it. So if you are out there and either your father, grandfather, mother, or grandmother was a veteran, you are qualified to join the Sons of the American Legion. If you're interested, please contact me. You can do so by reaching out to What's Happening Dracut, and I'll see the message there. Or you can email me at richardsilvio401@gmail.com.
So Richard, who's the commander?
The commander, he just got elected.
Oh,
God forgive me.
You don't know.
God forgive me. We just had elections the other night.
Who's the commander of the American Legion now?
Dick
currently?
Ducharme.
Dick
is the
Ducharme.
commander. He's a great guy. I talked to him quite a bit. Like I said, a lot of great people down
Is
there.
John Dyer still involved?
Oh, absolutely.
Is he the treasurer, I think? or-
Absolutely. Yes, I believe he's also the adjunct, the secretary for the Sons.
He's a
So
good,
he's a great
Yeah,
guy.
he's a
good
good,
guy.
he's a good guy.
John Dyer's
Yeah.
a good guy. Known
We,
him
we
for
all
many
switch
years.
roles,
So maybe we
frequently
should
down
have
there, so.
John come in one day or Dick Ducharme.
I think that'd
come
be
in,
fantastic.
And we could talk a little bit about that. But congratulations anyways. So let's get on to the Board of Selectmen meeting and talk about some of the stuff that went on last night. As usual, Joe DeRocco, in his inimitable way, he has a way of being involved in things. But I wanted to have us play the exchange between Tony Archinsky and Chief Bartlett regarding the transfer of Jonathan Siemens. Do you have that queued up, Nate? If you can do that, that would be great.
Just want to make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. You are indicating to me that Lieutenant Siemens is okay with being taken out of the NEMLAC SWAT team?
To my knowledge, yes. I gave him a letter on February 14th, and a week later, myself and Deputy Chartrand sat with him in my office for well over an hour, and he understood it. He wasn't happy about it, but he understood it, and he said that, it is what it is.
And the only reason why I asked is because I know the history is, his father was on the NEMLAC, and, he's been on it since I left,
Right.
at least since I've left, and I know that he loved it. So it was just surprising for me to hear that he was okay with it.
Right, but in that same vein that you were talking with earlier about the detectives, don't you think it's a good idea that we offer this opportunity to younger officers or someone else that's interested that hasn't had that opportunity in 15
I
years?
think it is cheap, but I don't think it's a good idea for somebody to matriculate all the way up to the highest rank that they can in the department and then be punished for that by being removed, for budgetary reasons.
No one's punishing anybody, Mr. Archinsky.
Okay.
No one's punishing Lieutenant Siemens.
Well, I thought I had read something about budgetary issues.
That's not a punishment. It's a reassignment for a financial issue. It's not a punishment. So
Right,
if you're
so-
classifying, hold on.
Right, so
Hold-
when the
hold on.
money, when the money comes back,
Yeah.
then he should go back into the unit if
Well-
you're not punishing him.
Well, as I said, I'm not punishing him, and for you to classify it like that is inappropriate, okay? There's no punishment here. Lieutenant Siemens has been reassigned from the team so we can open up that door to have other people participate. That's the reason behind it, and for you to insinuate otherwise
No,
is false.
I'm not insinuating, Chief. I'm just asking you a very simple question. Is he okay with that? You told me he was, that there's nothing more
But
that
then
needs to be said.
you continued and said, I'm punishing him. I'm not. And if you insinuate that, it's false.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else for the chief?
I do have one more thing. At the event on July, we're going to be doing these print ID kits. So what we do is we're going to be taking fingerprints of the kids or anybody that wants to participate, and in the kit is an area for a photograph, dental records, a hair sample, and once we take the fingerprints, we'll give this kit back to the parents so they can have something at the ready should, God forbid, somebody go missing or something happen, that they have updated information at the ready, so.
Thank you very much, Nate. I wanted to play that clip because I wanted you to see the exchange between a town employee and a member of the Board of Selectmen that was somewhat tense, in my view. And it seemed as though that it got really heated when Tony made a comment about the lieutenant being punished for 15 years of service down there. The fact of the matter is, if they wanted him to stay there, he'd be in there.
Yep.
There's something going on back there. So what was your view of that?
I don't think the police chief said it was inappropriate for Tony to say that. I don't think it was appropriate for him to react like he did. I think if he took qualms with Tony's comment, he could have just said, "Okay, I'll have this discussion with you later," or something like that, and took it offline. Having that back and forth, I think, in front of the public, it was inappropriate.
Right.
I know John Siemens. He's a great guy.
Great guy.
He's a great guy. My son went to school with his son, and I've known him since our kids played together and stuff like that. So, I think he loves having that position, as Tony said, and they were moving him from the position. He even said he wasn't happy about it. We brought him in the office, spoke to him for an hour. He wasn't happy about it.
Of course he's not going to be happy about it.
So-
NIMLAC you strive your whole career to get to a pinnacle of your career, right? He's a lieutenant. He's on the NIMLAC response team, and now it's being taken away from him to give other people experience on it. I think they can still do that without removing the most experienced person on it, right?
Right, and he can
After
mentor.
15
He can
years.
mentor some of the younger kids.
Yeah.
The people.
Well, yeah. Well, he's going to night commander, which is a whole different ball of wax, right? But do you think that you'd be happy with that, Richard, if you were 15 years in a position? And
Honestly, probably not. I probably would be a little pissed that it happened to me. However, on the bright side, what I will give to the chief is he wasn't afraid of his town representatives, which I suppose in hindsight is a good thing. Although I think it's always important to remember to stay respectful, especially in a public meeting. You have to know your setting and you have to know your audience.
Tony, absolutely. He predicated his remarks on the fact that we are a 97A community. I believe I said the right act, which makes it a strong chief, and the chief has the right to make moves around. But the communications between the department and the manager's office, who works for the Board of Selectmen, which makes it all part of the Board of Selectmen, right? Right, Rebecca?
That's
so
right.
he made sure that he pointed that out, but I'm sure Tony's getting pushback. And do you think there's anybody else on that Board of Selectmen that's more qualified to talk about public safety,
No,
police
absolutely
issues
not.
than Tony?
It's Tony, absolutely.
Tony Archinsky,
That's right.
So, and Tony and I have had our differences on a number of fronts, but at least give the guy credit for knowing what he's talking about when it comes to that
Absolutely.
stuff. And I noticed a little slap at Tony about, "Oh, you were a detective, weren't you?" I think he wanted Tony to say he was when he wasn't, but like you don't have the expertise. So I kind of was a little taken aback by that whole exchange between Tony.
I think that was inappropriate.
Very
I thought it was a little unusual too, because I'm personally, I'm fans of the police chief. I've done some work with him in the past. I
Yeah,
think
we
he's a
all
great
are.
guy.
We all
So, could he have just been having an off day? Maybe he spilled some hot coffee on himself before the meeting, possibly. Still, I don't think that excuses that behavior, but I don't know. I think it was an unfortunate incident between two people who have served Dracut so well.
So I wanted to show a clip about town openings on different committees in the town. There are several volunteer committees in town, say like the
Finance
Conservation Commission and Planning Board, and there's maybe a half a dozen of them that have several positions that are open they just can't fill them. So I found it interesting that the chairman of the board, Allison Janess, brought up the several positions that are open, and then she proceeded to tell people to send in their resumes. But in the very next subject that came up was about Fred Spice's appointment. Fred Spice had put in a number of requests to be on a number of different boards. Now, we have a clip on that with the Fred Spicer appointments. Can you play that, Nate? And then we'll talk about that afterwards.
12th meeting, put that as an agenda item so we can discuss the process for appointments to various committees and boards, if the board would be willing.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
We meet on July 19th.
Thank you. July 19th. Okay, I'm sorry. Selectman Dracut made that motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I just have one question. So what is it about the process that needs to be clarified?
The process now is that Ann, excuse me, either Ann or this board makes the appointments whenever a opening is there. So the planning board chairman would like to talk about how we could get the boards involved more in the appointment process. We had a discussion about maybe, like in this particular case, this is a second alternate, so we talked how important it is for even alternates to be at every one of the meetings, because sometimes there might be a member of the planning board who has to step out because that person is a builder, might have a conflict. So he would like to see a more defined process of how the board could get more involved with the appointment process versus it solely lying with this board and with the town manager.
Well, I mean, I've advocated for that all along. I absolutely think that the board that we're making appointments to should have some interaction with the people that are applying. So, I'm good with that. But I think that, this situation here, hasn't this gone out a couple of times?
We've
It's almost
delayed it,
like
I think, twice
there's nobody
now.
else that wants it?
I can't speak to that. Shannon and Samantha Carver receive in the people that want to be put on these boards, so I can't speak to anything other than what we've seen so far. It's just one person, I believe, that has applied for this position. And this has nothing to do with the person that's applying for the position. Let's make that clear. It's about process.
Right, well, that's exactly what I'm concerned about, because if there were an issue with the process, it probably should have been done before we put it out for people to ask if they could serve. To me, it looks like it's, we don't want to appoint this person. We put it out twice. The process has been what it is, but I do agree that we need to, that we really do need to come up with a process.
One of the other issues, if you don't mind, Tony, is honestly, there's not enough volunteers, and they're all going, there's multiple, people are serving on multiple committees, which is
Right.
making it difficult to have a well-rounded discussion, right, in some areas. Mr. Spicer, and I'm not trying to pick on him, but we have individuals that apply for like 4 or 5 different appointments. So you have to decipher, okay, what do they really want to do? What are they most familiar with? And those are kind of concerns that I would have going forward. This is not a manager's appointment, right? This is a Board of
No,
Selectmen's
it's
appointment.
ours.
Yeah. So, but that's some of the things I've been facing with people applying for positions where it's difficult, because you don't want to have somebody that's sitting on, one committee, and then they're on another committee and on opposite sides of the track. So it becomes a little dicey depending on the committee as to where they sit.
I agree, and I also think that the planning board is probably one of the most important committees, that both of us, we appoint the alternate, and then I think Ann appoints the permanent person. So I guess for that reason, I'll vote yes on the motion, but I did have some concerns. I did not want it to look like, we didn't want to hire this individual, we didn't want to appoint this individual in particular, although I know that there's been little interest in anybody that wants to serve on the planning board.
Yeah, I mean, we recently had an appointment for Mr. Spicer as well on the Capital Planning Committee. He's been appointed to that position.
Mhm. Okay, so we had a motion and a second, I believe, to continue indefinitely. We will put this on the agenda for July 19th to discuss the process. Does that work for everybody?
It works for me, but I think to Tony's point, we did already discuss that we wanted chairman to give the recommendation to us when people applied. So did this chairman. To Tony's point, it appears like this gentleman is not wanted on this committee. And when he also applied for DATV a few years back, there was absolutely no commitment to a process. And he got completely overlooked, and now he's being overlooked for a strict process. So it feels like it is the intent is to block him from this position. That's how it feels for me. And I'm also not super comfortable with someone from another board telling us that we need to change our process because we've already had that discussion.
Okay. Well, there was a question about if we could tighten up the process and get the committees more involved with the people that will be appointed to that specific committee and get the committee itself involved in discussing that appointment with that person as well.
In this specific instance you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, because I
Yes.
feel like I've asked for a more defined process for 2 years, and we haven't done that, except saying we would like the chairman to give a recommendation. But if he's asking specifically about this process for his board, I'm more comfortable with that.
Okay.
So would would the process be just for the planning board or how we move forward with future appointments?
Let's discuss that as a team so that we can figure out a process that works for everybody. Let's talk about how we want it to be able to manage this going forward. There might be some committees that want to be very much involved in the appointment process. There might be others that don't want to be that involved. I can't speak for what the chairman of the various boards are going to want to do. But at least we can start to talk about maybe a draft process and we can, send that around to the various chairs of the boards, have them discuss it with their respective committees and come to some type of an agreement and solidify things.
Yeah, I think it could be as simple as anybody that applies to serve on one of these committees, send the applications to the chairman of the committee, and then the chairman of the committee can call them in for an informal, say hello, get together, and then the chairman and the board can come to us or whoever the appointing authority is and say, we think this person will work on our board. That's what I'd like to see. I've seen it happen on open space, and it works pretty good.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Review, discuss, and vote on the Town of Dracut and the Dracut Public Employee Committee contract.
Thank you. The Public Employee Committee contract is the contract regarding the health insurance for all of the unions, and it's been in existence since 2005, I believe, and
Hey, he's back. We're back. We're back. Thank you. Yeah, some of those videos are a little bit long because we really threw them together this afternoon. So we're gonna redo them and come back with some of them. But the gist of it is that I think Tony and Heather both hit the nail on the head. That they don't want Fred Spicer. They don't want Fred Spicer on these committees. Oh, they put him on capital planning, one of the most boring committees in the town, right? So they put him on, and not that it's not an important committee. I think it's an important committee, but it's a boring committee, right? So they put him on that, but they don't want somebody that's a loose cannon that they can't control.
I just have a question, because that was the
Sure.
first time I had seen the clip, John.
Yeah.
So was this the second time Fred had put his name in?
Fred put his name in for several different appointments because nobody was putting in the names for anything, and he hoped to land one or two, I'm sure. I mean, I've had a discussion with Fred a couple times. Fred's an independent thinking individual. He's an independent guy who says it like it is, who's a very in-depth thinker. He's got an analytical mind where he works, I believe, for DOD down in he worked for DOD in Washington for many years. So he knows, accounting stuff and all that stuff. So he knows what questions to ask, and they don't want that kind of person on the boards. And I mean, Heather, boy, she's becoming a superstar too, isn't she?
Yep.
She really is. Did you hear her point out the Genest appointment to DATV?
Yeah.
You didn't have a problem with that, right? You didn't have that problem, right, Madam Chair, when you made that appointment, her husband, But what did you think about that whole exchange?
As Allison kept going on and on, you know what that sounded like to me? Oh, well, we went fishing for a bunch of candidates that we thought would be appropriate for the board, and we got one that was too small, so we had to throw it back.
Right.
And we're just going to keep going until we get one that's the proper size.
Get one that we know will do what we want.
Absolutely. Another Kopsinski.
Right, and Jen Kopsinski absolutely proved last night again how she's in the pocket of Joe DeRocco and those guys. Now, I wanted to get into the code of conduct because that's important to get into, and we're going to get into that real quick. So the code of conduct came up that Tony Chinsky proposed a code of conduct because he wanted the board to be more professional in how they presented themselves to the public. Joe DeRocco, on the other hand, wants to use the Board of Selectmen as his bully pulpit to exact revenge on his political enemies, correct? Right?
We've seen that over and over and over.
When did we see that, Gordy?
With the Dracut Access TV,
Yeah.
he's trying to keep us quiet, and
He calls
James
out.
Hall had to tell him that you can't do that because it's
And
violating
how
the
was he
First
trying to keep
Amendment.
us quiet? He was trying to control content down here.
Right.
He went after Gary Muse, the board of directors down here, saying that I don't know what's going on
He
down there.
mentions
but
you almost every meeting. So.
Yeah, yeah. And back in the day when I was on that other show, the Disconnection show, they were, he was attacking on a regular basis Brian Bond until Brian Bond's sister got a six-figure,
Right.
job, and then that's the end of that because now they're kissing cousins.
Right.
Right. So it all goes to saying how you take care of somebody in town. Eventually, they'll shut up about you, right? Except they can't shut me up because there's nothing
They'll
they can
try.
do. They're trying. Believe me, they're trying. They'd like to roast me, and they've tried.
Well, supposedly, I think they have you moving out of town. Isn't
That's
that
right.
true?
Oh, they had me moving out of town, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But let's talk about this code of conduct thing. Does it make sense, Rebecca, to have a code of conduct of how you act towards residents that come before you and board members that come before you?
Yeah, I think it's common sense.
Right. And most selectmen have them. And here's Jen Kopczynski.
Well, they have a code of conduct for when the public speaks.
Right.
They can't respond. They
Right.
can't.
Yeah, there's guidelines for public
Right.
input. Yeah.
So I want to play the Joe DeRocco clip. Do you have that one? I think that's a short one. That's about.
I think it's titled JD.
JD. Nate, can you show that one?
Colleagues conduct themselves professionally as well, from what I've seen. I'll repeat what I just said at the last meeting. The timing is suspicious. Mr. Archinsky's been on the board for 9 years. He never brought it forward before. Why not? And why now? He waited to bring this forward at the meeting after he didn't get elected to the chair. The timing is suspicious to me. This board doesn't, I don't judge members on this board, nor do I expect members on this board to judge me. We're judged every day from the voters who elected us. And I think that's what it is. I mean, I think if the voters think that we're not doing a good job or we're not acting professionally, they're not gonna vote us. There would be no bite in this. I mean, for instance, I don't think there's anything in there that would have prevented me from saying anything that I've said. And, to be judged by people, it could be personally, it could be politically, whatever it is, I don't think is appropriate. So myself, as I said before, I'm not going to vote for it, and that's probably the main reason. Every day, I look at myself, I look in a mirror, and I say, am I doing what the voters elected me to do? And I feel that I am. And that's why I've continued to run over the years.
Madam Chair, if I can just have the floor for 1 second, I'd like to answer Mr. DeRocco. He mentioned my name in his remarks, so if you
Well,
could
it
just
is
give me 2
yours.
seconds.
1 second, guys, I understand. We haven't all spoken once yet. So if
Okay.
we could allow us to do that and then,
Okay.
Okay, so she shuts up Tony because Tony wants to respond immediately to what Joe DeRocco had said about Tony. And of course, Joe has the upper hand because he's got Janest in his pocket and he's got Jen in his pocket. So what did you think of that, Richard?
I said, Joe DeRocco says he looks in the mirror and says to himself, am I doing what the voters elected me to do? I think in reality it's, am I doing what Lucky Oil paid me to do?
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
Or wants me to do, right.
Absolutely.
Not paid him because I don't think there's any exchange of money or anything like that.
No, I don't think Lucky Oil is successful enough to be able to pay him.
Whoa, I think you're wrong there, but that's okay.
Probably.
He's very
Just a cheap
successful,
shot.
but as far as his owing Lucky, because he obviously helps him get reelected all the time. So I don't think there's any exchange of money there. But the bottom line is he does fundraise for Joe DeRocco, and he does do a lot of things. But Rebecca, what did you take out of that? Anything?
Well, I'd like to actually see what the code of conduct, what was being proposed.
Right.
But on the surface, there's really no issue with having a code. of how members should act.
Right.
You know, I mean, most people are probably going to act professionally anyway.
Right.
But if the board wants to make a statement on saying this is what we would like to see, that's fine.
Right.
And ultimately, you know, Joe is right. If people don't like the way he's acting, they'll vote him out.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
but
except we
it's-
know that who votes in the elections.
But there's really, I don't have an issue with this, with voting on a code of
Yeah,
conduct.
but Tony and Heather too. Heather stood up and really said a lot of good things. But those clips are all kind of jumbled up a little bit, so I'm going to go back to them and sit down with Richard and I, and we'll refine those clips for another time. But the bottom line here is that we'll revisit this because they're going to go talk about it again. Or did they just vote it out? They voted against it. Did they vote against it last night?
I don't know. I didn't watch. I didn't watch the
I
selectmen.
think they probably voted against it, but I think we're going to bring it up again at our next in our next show because there were some interesting exchanges between Tony and Allison Genest, where Genest got upset because Tony said something about her during the last show, and she didn't like it. By the way, she purports herself in all of her campaign stuff prior to being on there that she was an HR professional and that she would bring. Why would an HR professional be against a code of conduct?
I mean, I have to sign one when I go to work.
Right.
Every website you go on has a code of conduct.
Yeah.
Facebook has a code of conduct. I mean,
Right.
everything has a code of conduct.
But they don't want to have that.
Right,
They want to
exactly.
be able to politically do whatever they want to do.
Or
And
attack
of
you
course-
on which
Attack me
They
or
shouldn't have any personal attacks on the
No,
board of
it
selectmen.
should be a higher grade. You want to attack me, Joe DeRocco? Go
get
on
your-
a show
get
and
your-
attack me.
Yeah, go on
Like you
Facebook.
did.
Yeah.
Like you did. You attacked Phil Thibault, right?
Right.
You attacked me. You attacked,
But you shouldn't be doing that in the public eye.
not in that chamber.
Right.
Right? In the school committee meetings, in that school committee setting.
No, we don't.
You shouldn't be attacking your political enemies.
No, we don't. We
And you don't.
we stick to the business at hand.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. But, I mean, you should have more of an exchange with the public, but more of an exchange that's more professional and not something where you're throwing a bomb at the public that can't answer you.
Right.
Right?
And then now you
you're
now you
throwing
can
out-
be held accountable with a code of
And you're
conduct.
throwing out diatribe that just isn't true.
Well, with a code of conduct, you can also be held accountable and be, I would assume, removed from office if you break the code of conduct so many times.
But yet Joe wants to have
He
a
doesn't
a
want
code-
that because he doesn't-
wants to have a code of conduct, and Genest wants
For
to have a code
DATV.
for DATV. No, they don't. They want to control our content,
Right.
but they want to have a code of conduct for people who come up and speak during public input.
Yes, they do, don't they?
They don't want you to mention their names, but they, the Board of Selectmen, the elitist in town, they can knock their enemies, right?
Yep.
But that, there's double standard everywhere there. So anyways, we're going to come back with some more of that in our next show, and we'll get more into it because we just didn't have time this afternoon to get all the clips together. There's some great stuff that's there, and Heather was awesome, and Allison Genest just looks so condescending to me. She's above everybody else, and don't bring my personal job into. You're a public figure, and when you tout your personal job as something that you're going to use as experience, then you better believe that public figure, that experience that you have, personal experience, is subject to scrutiny,
Criticism.
scrutiny and criticism. And I had a little birdie fly around my head earlier today about a current job she has, which we're looking into. She has a current job in town, from what I'm gathering, but I haven't confirmed it. But I'm going to confirm it, and we'll bring that up at a future show. Current job, because that's what we do in town. We give people little jobs so that they will do whatever we want them to do. It's kind of like pay to play type thing. Is what they.
She
try
certainly
to
isn't
say.
door dashing.
No, she
like
isn't.
some other people I know.
Or Ubering like other people, But we're going to get back into that. I wanted to play a little update on our Bidenflation. I put a little tape together. Want to play that, please, Nate? The Bidenflation update. A little bit of what do you call it? Joking around here, but it's not a joke when you go to the supermarket, is it, Rebecca? When you go to the supermarket?
No, I like to buy some organic eggs, a half dozen. They're up to $4.
Oh my God.
$4, you know.
$4?
Yeah.
Well, what's a half a dozen? What's a dozen of eggs now?
Almost
$6.
Yeah, I don't know. It's expensive.
The governor, in his wisdom, and the legislature in Massachusetts went to cage-free chicken.
Oh, that's right. They did do that. Yes.
Which means it's going to cost more money to produce those eggs, right?
But the shock from the prices, I could lay the eggs myself.
But you know that folks in Dracut can get eggs by there's roadside stands around Dracut.
Yes, there are.
And maybe that's something we can.
I think that's a good idea.
Do a little bit of a show on, not a show, but a little bit of a video on, have a cub reporter come out of retirement and do one of those, what do we call those?
Dracut Chronicles.
Dracut Chronicle.
Absolutely.
Because we haven't had one in a while, and show where there's certain there's, not cage-free, but whatever they are, chicken eggs for sale on the side of the road. And they're fresh eggs. And I understand fresh eggs, once you eat them, you don't want to go back to any.
The one thing, however, when you do get roadside eggs, especially roadside eggs, you always want to test them when you go home before you use them. And I Googled this, and it said what you do is you get a pot of cold water, and you put the eggs inside the water. And I think they said if it floats, that means the egg is bad.
Correct.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
So I'd start checking my eggs.
Or if you have eggs that are close to expiring in your refrigerator, you always put them in you can use a glass of water. If it sinks, it's good. If it floats, don't eat it.
Really?
I never have done that, and I'm sure I've got a lot of floaters that I've eaten.
Yeah, well.
I'm sure I've eaten a lot of floaters.
Me too.
Well, speaking of grocery stores, John, you know what's really strange, a really strange phenomenon I've noticed?
What?
Whenever I go to a grocery store, those little I did that Biden stickers seem to follow me. Everywhere I go in the grocery store.
They're cropping up.
You know, I was at Hannaford's a few weeks ago, and I saw they had a goose. In the little frozen section. And when I saw the price, let me tell you, my goose was cooked.
Oh.
You know how much they wanted for that? The normal sized goose, $83.
Oh my God! Did you ever eat goose?
I have not. I don't plan on.
I wouldn't eat it.
I hear it's pretty greasy.
Greasy and same way with duck, right?
Yeah, dark meat.
Kind of slippery, like some politicians.
So did you notice in that video that the empty shelves for tampons, empty shelves for baby formula, and this is real. This Biden-inflation is also an attack on females, on women.
Oh yeah.
I mean, baby formula. Who would have ever thought?
John, this is all Putin's fault.
Oh, of course it's Putin's fault.
No.
We have a Democrat here.
Yes, yes, you do.
And it's Rebecca Duda, and we will respect her.
That's
but
okay.
Rebecca, how do you feel about Joe Biden right now? Are you happy with what he's doing? What the economy is doing?
Am I happy? No. Who can be happy with the economy at this point? Right? Everything's going astronomically high.
And isn't it all about the economy, stupid,
That's
they say,
right.
when it's up for re-election?
Absolutely. So we're probably going to get killed in the midterms.
Gordy, do you think that there's going to be a red wave?
I believe so. Well, the Fed raised the interest rates 0.75% today.
Well, it's probably too late.
They're trying to help.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing you can do to stop inflation. I don't think it's going to work.
No.
I think
it'll be a temporary rise in the stock market, which they all touted this afternoon. They were talking about that.
Yeah, well, it is a global phenomenon. We're not the only country experiencing inflation.
Well, that's a new world order. It's doing it all at once.
So, ever since COVID, we've had this supply issue. So you don't have enough. The supply chain isn't producing enough goods, but we also didn't inflate the amount of cash in our economy.
In circulation.
In circulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was done by Biden, mostly $3 trillion or $6 trillion.
The infrastructure bill.
Right.
The good analogy was if you have a bathtub and you fill it full of water, right? And then you try to fill it with another bathtub full of water, what happens? It overflows, right? And that's what is happening to the economy with all the money that's been given out, the free money.
We're in a perfect storm right now because the interest rates are going up. We're going to hit 8% interest soon.
What do you mean?
So if you go to buy a house,
you're
going to
6.5 as of today.
Yeah, so it's going to hit 8.
It doubled. It was 3
I know.
something.
And then the banks don't need to lend money because there's so much money in circulation.
Yeah, so you're going to end up
they're paying you no interest. So there's the banks right now are making a fortune.
Right. Well, one of the reasons why they injected so much money into the economy because of COVID was because they were trying to not make the same mistake they did in '08 with the recession, where they didn't inject enough with the bank issue back
But
in
now
'08. But they
did.
overcompensated now, right?
When the bumbling Biden starts talking, I mean, it's just phenomenal how he can't even read off of a teleprompter.
No.
Right? He can't even read off of a teleprompter. I mean, when you have Democrats that are out there, yeah, what's that? Yeah. Big time Democrat. Look at show Gordy's face here. This is him. That's Joe Biden trying to figure out what he's going to do.
Taking away your AR-14s.
Yeah, but I have to admit, John, at least Biden hasn't caused a riot on Capitol Hill.
Whoa!
Right?
No.
You want to go there?
No,
January
He didn't cause it either. Trump didn't cause it either.
All he did and all the Democrats did was condone the burn, loot, and murder riots burning down cities across the country.
In Seattle,
but I'm sure that's okay.
Chicago.
Right?
What about the hundreds of kids last week? It was 43 kids got shot in Chicago, the hometown of Barack Obama. Are you proud of that? Are you proud of that?
No, of course
But that's
not.
happening, and yet they
But
want to
we
take
can't-
law-abiding citizens' guns away. You think the law-abiding citizens are the criminals are not going to get guns? Of course they're going to get guns.
Of course.
And you have Biden continually talking about the January 6th BS and saying that many people got killed on that day. That's not even a fact. There wasn't any guns there except by those who were supposed to be protecting the Capitol Hill.
And
the one person that got shot was shot by a Capitol police officer.
Yep.
Not by a.
By the way, there is proof now.
Right.
That the election was overturned.
20,000 mules.
2,000 mules. I watched it. Yes.
I haven't seen it, but I'm going to have to.
It's a smoking gun.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Because just real quick, I want to tell you what's on the show.
Yeah.
They have video of people stuffing the ballots, and then they requested their phone data, and the phone data shows them they just so happen to drive to ballot box, to exactly to the next ballot box, to exactly the next ballot box, to exactly the next ballot box, and they actually traced the money. The money came from your friends at Facebook.
Oh.
$450 million.
Wow.
And they were given $10 per ballot to put in there.
Wow.
And they can
So you're saying that they had enough people to do that all across the nation?
Yep, they did it in Atlanta, Georgia. They had 1,100 people in Philadelphia. They stuffed an average of 5 ballots per ballot box and 36 ballots. And they had 1,100 people.
But they knew which
360,000 votes.
I'm having a hard time believing that, but I'll watch the video.
You have to watch the proof. They have the proof. Because you have your cell phone data. You drive in a car and it goes. There's no reason you would go from ballot box directly to the next ballot box, directly to the next ballot. There's no reason for you to do that.
Did you hear today who was calling for Biden not to run for president again?
Can I take a wild guess?
Go ahead.
Was it Barack Obama?
No, he didn't say it. I'm forgetting.
AOC?
No, the AOC would not commit to supporting Biden for re-election. She wants to see his program. I think you got pretty good evidence right now what his program is going to be, and I think that the people in Washington, namely Nancy Pelosi, whose husband, by the way, was arrested for DUI,
runs in the family.
They just released his mugshot yesterday, and now they're trying to get Fox is trying to get the vest video off the police officer, the arresting video, and to see what that's all about. Biden's saying that he wants to do everything he can to lower the prices of everything, including oil. But in the meantime, he's shutting down oil fields, right? He's literally shutting down oil fields in Alaska and around the country, which is one of the main reasons why we're not getting oil.
We
the Keystone Pipeline was
but we
the
can't
biggest.
the issue that we have is that we produce enough oil, but we don't have enough refineries to create the gasoline.
Well, how do you explain oil prices, being the lowest possible when Trump was president?
Because
oil prices were unbelievably low.
Well, we weren't consuming.
They were negative.
No, that's not even true. That's a falsehood, Rebecca.
No, it's not.
That's a falsehood. That's 18 months when we weren't out using it. Right.
Exactly.
That was 18. But before, I'm talking about before that. It was less than $2 a gallon. Before that.
If you remember, there was a day that the oil, they would pay you to take the oil.
Right.
There was a negative the cost of oil was
Right,
negative.
exactly.
For one day.
Because we were oil independent. But now
Right.
he's going to Saudi Arabia, a guy who we called a murderer and a thug.
In
And he's going
Venezuela.
to kiss his ring.
In Venezuela.
In Venezuela.
Venezuela.
So it's amazing that that's happening. So do you think we're on the cusp of nuclear war?
I don't think so. I think
Cooler heads will
cooler
prevail?
heads will prevail, but it's something to watch. It's the oil, I think, is really the big part for Europe.
Yep.
Because they're really independent, and they laughed at Trump. Remember, Germany laughed at Trump when he said, "You're in big trouble because you're 100% dependent on Russian oil," and they were laughing at him. And now look at the problems.
Paying the
they have.
price.
Richard, you're a high school student, newly graduated high school student, and you're getting your license soon, we hope.
Yes.
And you'll be
yes.
driving. But any of this talk with between Russia and China and the nutcake in North Korea, is that scaring high school kids or young kids?
Do you want the absolute truth?
Yeah.
So from what I've experienced with kids my own age is that really none of them care. And I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm being perfectly frank with you. None of them care. They really don't. Now, if Putin was to go out and do like a little TikTok dance or something in the Red Square, that it'd be all over TikTok and everyone would be watching it and laughing and they'd probably say he's a great guy. But from what I've witnessed, like I said, nobody is even paying attention. Nobody knows what's going on.
I want to give Teresa Wheeler Shaw credit for this because I didn't see this until just now, but she just said what I said about how do you explain we were oil independent or energy independent, and yes, gas was cheaper before COVID. So she gets that too, and of course, the Russian bot is in there. Throwing out his little diatribes. We're not even going to mention his name because he's a nut windbag, this guy. So we don't give him any credit.
KGB.
You know, yeah, he's definitely KGB. But the bottom line is here that we, when I was a kid, we used to practice drills to go under the desks.
Yeah,
And one time I asked you, John, because I think you said you were with Civil Defense in Chelsea way back in the day.
I was a
So
civil
remember
defense
when this whole thing started with Ukraine, I said to you, John, what would you tell the people when they asked you, what do we do in case of a nuclear?
Open your legs, bend over, and kiss your ass goodbye. If they do a nuclear war or a nuclear
It's not
strike,
gonna happen.
there's no winner.
No.
There's no winner in that.
No.
It's not
Remember-
going to come
The
down.
danger is when you have a guy like Putin, an old guy in his 70s who has been reported has cancer. And when you have a guy like him and you have a guy like Biden who doesn't know what day of the week it is, you don't know what could happen. with those two old guys.
I'm more afraid of China attacking
China's a
Taiwan.
big problem.
I'm more afraid of them
Yeah,
than
and
Russia.
Biden has said he'd commit troops to Taiwan.
That's right.
too.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Crazy,
So, yeah.
crazy. Now, today or yesterday, Xi Jinping warned the West, or wherever you want to call it for us, warned us, and he announced that the Strait of Taiwan, which separates China and Taiwan, is no longer international waters.
Oh, give me a break.
Like he has the authority
personally,
to do that.
You're going to give me pushback on this, but I 100% agree with Biden for saying we will support
I know
Taiwan
you do.
militarily if it came down to that. Because if there's anything that, no.
Why would we commit troops there?
He's going to be the first to sign up.
Don't you know, for somebody who studied history in college, you certainly know that history repeats itself, that appeasement doesn't work.
Appeasement does not work.
We need
You're
to
right.
show
Yeah.
the dictators across the world that we are not going to sit down and let them oppress miniature nations, because one day it's going to be us. We're going to be next.
But what is the national interest that we would have in committing our troops there?
The point is we can't allow dictators to go willy-nilly across the country, taking over any country they deem
Computer
fit.
chips is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest producers of
Exactly.
So
Plus,
we're going to move off that real quick because I have a couple of personal things to say, but I wanted to move off of that.
Where are
and
you
just
moving
mention-
to, by the way?
I want to talk about. I want to talk about the race for state representative, which has been pretty quiet.
You're keeping people on edge
considering-
about where you're
right,
moving.
because I want them to stay to the end of the show.
Oh, okay.
But you've got a race against Colleen Gary by the Brian bombed candidate,
Boag?
Boag or George Boag, who, anyways, we'll get into more of that soon. We're going to try to see if Colleen will come on the show and talk about that. But I wanted to take a personal moment, and there's been about 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. I want to take a personal moment because over the last few weeks, there's been a couple of phone calls to me and texts and what have you about things that are being said by the hosts of the Disconnected show, who really, they have no following here in Dracut. Only really the real nut jobs, like the Russian bot, watches their show and does pays attention to them. And I guess that Brian Bond went on there and said that I'm having issues with my family. And I didn't watch it, so I'm just saying these things that are coming to me via phone, and that I'm having issues, that I'm moving out of town, that my house is going to be up for sale. First of all, the house is not up for sale. My kids like my big house, and we like being here right now. So, but in the future, I don't know what the future holds. When I drop dead, my wife probably will sell the house. It'll be too big for her. But the bottom line is, we're not going anywhere. As much as you would like to see us go away, we're not going anywhere. And why would you ever take information from a used car salesman like Brian Bond and make it reality? I mean, they live in an alternate zone. They don't get it straight. I mean, here's a guy that I've heard used PPE money for personal gain. You know, the PPE money, the fraud stuff that he gave all these businesses, and then he sold his business, whatever he did. But he's a piece of crap. There's no other way to the guy doesn't have any political fodder at all. Can't win anything. His candidates he supports don't win, even though he's got the Dracut crew on his backside. So anyways, that's my diatribe for tonight on those people. And please don't listen to those idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. And people in Dracut should learn that when you have the upper hand on somebody, you should use the upper hand and use your upper hand power, because the other side does. You see Dracut, the Janest crew, Brian Janest, and all those guys, when they got the control, they use it. And they don't care whether they break ethics laws or stretch ethic laws or whatever they do by appointing her husband to a board and the whole 9 yards. They'll do it just to do it. Have anything else you want to say?
No.
We're out of time.
Well,
Thanks, Rebecca, for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun, guys.
We'll have some more talk about
Absolutely.
your boy Biden and gas prices.
Okay.
And take it away, Gordy. Close it out.
Well, folks, thanks for watching our show. And you know when it's Wednesday and it's 6:30, it's What's Happening Dracut. Good night, Dracut.